what does it mean to live life intentionally and take up space in the places that we choose to be in? Welcome back to my hashtag 75 Saw reflection and recap video. So I can't believe it's already 8 weeks into the challenge. Time really goes by quickly. I am thinking about what does it mean to enter into a second act or a second chapter in life. I'm currently still reading Sheila Johnson's memoir, and where she's at right now in her memoir is post-divorce and navigating now what does it mean for her to be in a new space in her life, being in my 30s, but thinking more largely beyond titles that's attached that we were socialized to have. What does it mean for me to live a meaningful and intentional life? And how do I actualize that? And listening to Sheila Johnson's memoir, these are some of the questions that that are coming or that I am being reminded of. Like, what does it mean to live life intentionally and take up space in the places that we choose to be in, rather than having to navigate places that we have to be in? So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of her story now that she is in a home that she has created for herself, a community that she has selected to live in, and now that she is navigating her life as a serial entrepreneur and a mother. I'm curious to learn more about her story and how she concludes her memoir. I have a couple of chapters left. So, yeah, if I could ask her a question, I think that would be my question. Like, did you feel as though you entered into a new version of yourself, or do you feel as though you saw yourself better once you made a decision to choose a space that also chose you? I talked about a couple of weeks ago choosing snacks that had no added sugar in it. And this week I came across a video that talked about, is it healthy to be vegan? I am not vegan. However, in going through this challenge, wanting to eat more whole foods, more plant-based meals, having just more of a nutritionally balanced plate, and thinking about eating whole foods, and the recommendation that I have been seeing is not about perfection, but it's about balance and moderation. So once I complete the challenge or in another week, I'm thinking about doing an audit for a month and seeing how much ultra processed, whole foods, etc., is in my diet on a regular basis, because a lot of the illnesses that we have in the US is connected to lifestyle. And I know that it's set up this way when we think about lifestyle and access, from inflation to food apartheid, and yeah, just a lack of access to affordable, nutritious foods. This is what's coming to mind to do a self audit. So for me, it's not about perfection, it's about balance. So the aim of an 80-20 to a 90-10 range when thinking about nutritious, whole foods, macronutrients, to a processed to ultra processed diet. Because as I am getting older, I'm thinking more about prevention rather than intervention. This 75 Soul Challenge is reminding me of the importance of willpower, motivation, and discipline, and how a combination of those really help to create habits, whether or not those habits are good, bad, or indifferent. Like, what habits am I creating for myself so that I am living a life that I desire to live, that I'm navigating how I desire to navigate, that I'm choosing spaces that I desire to be in? Because I know 6 months ago, when I had to be in certain spaces and had to navigate certain relationships, how my body felt. It's listening to my body and honoring how I feel in my personhood. So it's not just about the 45 minutes a day workout or the water intake and the diet that I'm consuming, but how am I doing all those things? Where am I doing all those things? With whom am I doing all those things? Because it all impacts wellness, my wellness. So perhaps I am entering to a 2.0 or a next chapter of my life. So what does it mean to transition intentionally? Also, in speaking about being in spaces with others, being in a community of bereavement has not only made me think about the relationship I have with folks in the afterlife, but also the relationship that I have with those who are still living. Because although someone has transitioned, we all navigate grief differently. We all have different tasks to handle post life, which I don't know if there's a post life doula. I know there are birth doulas and death doulas, but if there's a post life doula, listen, that's a gift, okay? Because you don't know until you know when you experience it and or have experienced it. And of course, each passing is different and how people respond to the passing. But it's not just the passing, but it's what happens after the passing. How do we check off the tasks that need to be done in a timely manner because capitalism is going to continue to function, and also hold space to heal, to remember, to question. It's a lot. So I don't know if there is a post-life doula. Perhaps that's something for me to look into. That may be an interesting conversation to have if someone is a post-life doula, because baby, it's a lot. So just in thinking about wellness and entering into a new self, looking at life, mourning, grieving, passing, and the concept of ancestors. What does it mean to become an ancestor? For someone who you had a relationship with, someone who yeah, what does it mean to become an ancestor? And how do we experience those relationships? So, again, more questions, more thinking, because I don't think we as a society, globally or communally, generally speaking, investigate post life. It feels maybe more singular than it should be. It doesn't feel as communal, even though, of course, like a memorial service is communal. And yeah, memorial service, funerals, repasts, like all of those are communal events. But once that passes, what does it mean to live on with the memories, with the legacies, with the person, or with the spirit? Yeah, I don't think it's definitely a one size fit all. It never is. Be left with more questions to think about. And how am I and how do I experience life in different spaces through different seasons? Yeah, because time waits for no one. Lastly, in transitioning into a new mindset or questions about practicing self grace and the hashtag 75 soft is also reminding me to be soft to myself and also to extend that softness to others. I think that at the end of the year, less sun, more darkness, the busyness of the holiday season, when to wrap things up for the year, it can be a great sense of fatigue. Like everyone's tired, rightfully so. It isn't like this national break or vacation that's extended that we go on, right? Some of us are fortunate enough to have longer holidays than others, but it isn't like this national period of rest. So, in entering a new season, at the end of a season, at the end of the year, reminding myself about not just choosing the hashtag 75 soft challenge rather than the medium or the hard for myself, but it's also an outlook. Like, what does it mean to be soft, to practice grace, to be generous in kindness to the self and to others when we are all tired for a multitude of reasons? And when some of us may be entering into a period of rest and others don't have that period of rest coming up, like how do we balance all of those? Is also what I'm thinking about as I enter into the new year, as I finish up this challenge. And importantly, not waiting, quote unquote, for 2025 or a new year in order to recenter, that I can always begin anew whenever I decide to begin anew. I don't need this big recognized ritual of starting over, of recentering. So returning to my morning yoga and walks is the way that I'm grounding myself as I'm in these seasons and navigating these communities. So I hope that you are doing well, that you are resting. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And remember, as always, love is real and eternal. In community, peace.